Okay, welcome back, everyone. This is the JavaScript lesson on week 5, day 5 of Web Fundamentals. We're going to make our page come to life with JavaScript now. So we're going to make our web pages interact.
Thank you, Mike. Acme. That's what it was.
Sorry?
Acme. He said they were called Acme cartoons.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yes, Acme cartoons. That's the. Anyways, I gotta get focused here. All right, so let's read this introduction really quick. Up until now, we've been making websites using HTML and CSS, and while we make websites that look impressive and contain all of the information we want to say, that they will need something to be more truly interactive and to be functional. This is what JavaScript was. This is what JavaScript was built to do. I think this is bad grammar. It allows us to write the logic and to add the functionality that makes our websites interactive for our users. JavaScript is very good at selecting the parts of the website that we want to modify. So remember, the document object model is the model of the web page. So we're going to be able to access that using our JavaScript file. Okay. Before we bring JavaScript into the mix with HTML and CSS, we need to establish some basics of what we can do with it. The next section is going to get us up to speed with some general programming concepts and how they work well with JavaScript. So I think I can skip all this now. So let's get started. All right. If you haven't done this already, this is something you're going to want to do today. When we previously worked with functions, at least in the programming basics class, we used an online platform program called Trace. Now we're going to all want to download this node.js. So we're going to go to this website, and that is going to give us some options depending on our operating system to download node.js. And this allows us to run JavaScript on our page. Okay, so now when we build JavaScript code, we can run it on our Visual Studio program. Okay. Does anyone in this class not have this installed yet? It's not like we need it installed to go on to the next lesson, but we're going to want to have this to test our JavaScript to see if it's working. So if we all have it installed, then great, let's just keep going. All right, so now we're just going to be going over some JavaScript concepts. We already know these, but let's just cover the basics here so we're all on equal ground. We have variables, right? So we know this is a variable because of the keyword var. This is an integer because it is a number 1 through 9 and or 0 through 9, and it's not in quotations. This, however, would be a string because it is within quotations. If we have numbers within quotations, then that would be a string as well. We also have Boolean values that are going to be true or false. So var likes JS equals true, that's a Boolean of true. When declaring a variable, we need to start by using the word var as a keyword. We're going to change this later on, but for now, this is what we're going to be using, var. And in the examples above, we have variable names. And so we have, as we said, number, string, and Boolean. Okay. And then we also have undefined values. And we don't have to get into that, but we used an analogy previously of what the difference is between not a number, NaN, and undefined. So who can tell me the difference?
What was the first thing you said? Not a number?
Yeah,
Not a number
yeah.
holds a value that isn't an integer, whereas undefined does not hold any value.
Okay. Yeah. So this is not something we're going to be needing to know yet. So I won't bother you guys with this details. So let's get to the heart of our lecture as soon as possible here. Now we do have to go over these just in case we are forgetting or we just didn't get it the first time. We have these operators. Now the equal sign, it assigns a value, right? We went over this in a couple days ago in the morning algo lecture. So we have this one equal sign assigns a value. So if we say var count equals 5, we're making the value of count to equal 5. And then we can reassign this variable a new value by the same operator on a new line. This is mostly information that we're repeating here. We can also use the plus to do addition. Var product 3.14159 plus 2.718. Then we'll get the result here. And now we have string values as well. Var name equals Marissa. Var message equals JS is actually the trickiest language. So if we console log name plus says, this string says plus Marissa, the whole string all together will equal this. Marissa says JS is actually the trickiest language. Now, for those that have gone through programming basics, this is going to be redundant information. But in case you didn't know, we would cover all of programming basics JavaScript in one day, in this day on Friday of week 1. So we're now just fast forwarding through everything we've learned. And again, here we have, what if we mix the types we're using? Var name equals Phil and a string, lucky number equals 8. So if we console log the name plus this string plus lucky number, in the end, we're going to get Phil's lucky number is 8. We're console logging the whole thing together. And again, the console is just an area on the screen where we can print whatever we'd like. When we add numbers and strings together, they result in a new string. One more tricky example here. So we have the number is plus 12 plus 3. We can console log this, and it will say the number is 1, 2, 3. Because when we're adding in the console log, we're just saying add it to the same string. Except in this instance here, where we say console log 12 plus 3 plus this string, then it will do the addition. 15 is a different number. So be careful the order that we're adding here in the console log. Okay, just something to be aware of. All right, now we have these operators we'll go over. We have the addition operator. This will add.
I didn't get it. Hi, Josh.
Yes?
So the order of operation affected the outputs and
Yes,
result? It's just-
definitely.
wow.
Definitely. So
So
we have
if
to,
it comes first, that means it interprets as a string the whole thing. And if integer comes first, and it interprets as...
in this case, yes. In the console log, yes. In this console log, if we add a string first, then we're essentially we're adding to that string. But if we do the addition first, the addition will happen, and then the string will be added to that addition.
Thank you.
Good question. Here we have subtraction. We all know how to do subtraction, then we have multiplication, and then we have division. Okay. Now, order of operation in mathematics also is important. So what's the answer for this one going to be? Var answer equals 2 plus 4 times 10.
42.
42. That's the answer. That's because multiplication should take priority. So whatever is on each end of the multiplication sign, it's going to do 4 times 10, which is 40. And then we do addition. So this would be 40 plus 2, get 42. Okay, as we mentioned before, that JavaScript will read from left to right, but the order of operations we're familiar with from math still occurs with multiplication happening before addition. If we wanted to add the, if we wanted to addition to occur first, then we would use parentheses as we would in math. So the parentheses takes priority over the multiplication operation. So it would do 2 plus 4, which is 6. Then 6 times 10, which would be 60. Okay, now we have these combined operators. Var total equals 10. And if we wanted to add 5 to the total, we can say plus equals total plus equals 5, and that will give us what? 15. All right, and the plus equals operator can be used with strings for concatenation. So if we have a string that says hello and we wanted to add world to it, we would say message plus equals the string world, so that we get hello world. This is how we can add to a string. We can also use minus equals, times equals, and divide by equals. Okay, and types of data here. Some types of data are considered primitive. They essentially just store information, whereas other types of data can provide structure as well. For now, we should be aware that number, string, and Boolean are primitive, and we will soon learn about structural data types with objects and arrays, which JavaScript considers as object types. So they're non-primitive data types. Okay, so let's get a status check how well we understand variables, types, and operators, and the order of operations, please. Okay. In JavaScript, is a data table a type of variable? I'm not sure what a data table is, to be honest, Spencer. Would you explain that?
Yeah, VB.NET can store an entire like spreadsheet as a single variable and perform functions on it. I didn't know if JavaScript can do that too.
I don't think so. Narciso, do you know? It does not. Okay. All right, so now let's continue.
I'm sorry, you could just create a class or something, right?
Yeah,
Just create a class that conforms to that object's properties and instantiate one of those and save it in there.
and yeah, we'll learn about what objects are in just a bit here, if you're not already familiar. So let's predict the outcome. Let's take a small quiz here. Var z equals 3 times 2 plus 1. So what's the answer going to be here? 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Justin is right. Now what about this one? Z equals 3 times, and then parentheses 2 plus 1. Okay. Now var z equals 3 times 2 minus 1. Var x equals 2. And var y equals x times x times x. So what do we get if we console log y? Okay. Now let's see the results. Oh, we got the last one wrong. So var x equals 2. Let's see our options again. Var x equals 2. And now y equals 2 times 2 times 2. But if we console log x,
Sorry.
we're just console logging 2.
Yeah.
It's a bit tricky there. Okay, now Booleans. We've seen a lot about numbers and strings, but haven't talked much about the Boolean data type. The Boolean is another type of data that can only have 2 possible values, true and false. We can declare them as variables. So is sunny equals true, is raining equals false. There are a number of operators that will return a Boolean, var number equals 5. And if we want to console log if number is less than 3, then we should receive a false, right? Because 5 is not less than 3. So then our console log should return false. So we can get a result of a Boolean if we are checking to see if something is true or not. Now, what is the double equal sign? What does that mean too? Can anyone tell me?
Isn't it like equals as a statement, like a conditional statement or something like that?
Yeah, it's asking as a question. Is it equal to? Is A equal to B? It's true if it is. It's going to be false if it's not. So we're getting a true or false here as a result now. These operators return a Boolean. What about A exclamation mark equals B? What is that going to check?
If it's not equal.
Right. I know you can read, but I just want you guys to say it so that I know you understand it. You're going to feel a little bit more confident. I'm going to feel more confident if you can repeat it to me. Now, this is going to be true if what? Should I block this out? It's going to be true if it's less than B. This is going to be true if it's less than B. If A is less than B, then that will be true. This is going to be true if A is greater than B. You guys have been doing this. You guys have been working in for loops, if statements. This will be working. This will be true if A is less than or equal to B. And this will be true if A is greater than or equal to B. Okay. So remember, a double equal sign is not the same as just one equal sign. A double equal sign is going to check if it's true or false. It's asking a question. Now, here's some conditionals. We've gone over these already. Var is sunny equals false. Var is raining equals true. Now, when we have here in the parameters, if is sunny, that is checking if it is true. If you see the variable just by itself, it doesn't have a double equal sign true. It's essentially asking, is sunny equal to true? this is asking here, is raining equal to true? All right, now let's keep going. In the code above, we will bring an umbrella because is raining is true. So this is true, so we're going to bring an umbrella. We're going to console log bring an umbrella. This is false, so we're not going to console log this. It's asking if it's true. Okay. Now we have if is sunny is equal to true, then we console log also wear a hat. So I just wrote this out. This is it's asking the same thing as this. Same statement in the parameter. There's nothing wrong about code like this, but if the variable is sunny is already going to be true or false, it's not necessary to use the comparison operator with true. However, if this example is easier for us to read, we should feel free to write it this way. Being a good programmer is about writing code that we understand, not writing the most complicated code we can get to work, or the simplest code that we can get to work. So however you understand it is the way to write it, okay? But just know that if you come across this in someone else's code, what it means. It's asking if it's true. Okay, now we have else and else if. So I know we know this already, but let's just get a status check from everything up to this point. Operators and Booleans. Let's get a pulse check 1 through 10 and how we feel about this. So there's no excuse now if you guys say 10. If it's not a 10, then we should work with you, which is okay if we do. All right, so then let's continue. We have else and else if. I know we know this because we've done this before. So we have var today equals new date. Okay, we haven't explained what this means, but this is going to get us a new date. And if today.getDate, now this is invoking, it's checking a function, right? If today.getDate is 1, console log, I hate Mondays. If today.getDate is not equal to 1, console log, today is all right. Okay. 6-0 is Monday, and 6 where 0 is Sunday, and 6 is Saturday. So 0 is Sunday, 1 is Monday. This block code can be rewritten using an else to avoid having to write a second condition. So this block of code is doing the same thing as this, except it's saying in every other case where today is not 1, where the today.getDay is not 1, say today is all right. It's essentially, this else is saying if today.getDay is not equal to 1 in any other case, any other condition besides the condition in the original if statement above it. Else if takes the condition and it does the same thing, but it takes a condition. So in this case, we can mix else ifs and if statements. We can say var today equals new date. If today.getDay is not equal to is equal to 1, console log I hate Mondays. Else if today.getDay is equal to 5, console log Friday, more like Friday. All right, else say today is all right. So if this condition is not met, then this will trigger every other test case if these two are not met. So this triggers if this is not met. If this is met, if this else if is met, the else will not trigger. Okay, now let's get a status check. Do we understand how if, else if, and else statements work?
Hey Josh, is the .getDay, is that like a built-in function?
Yeah, it's just imagine there's a function that's going to be able to get the day.
Okay.
Yeah. Is there a wisdom behind everything being 0 indexed? Yes, the wisdom is everything starts from 0. I don't know. What do you mean by wisdom? Like, I think the programming convention just decided we're going to start counting from 0. We're used to counting from 1. But I can't give you a definite answer there, Spencer, unless you know, Narciso. Why did the programming community for JavaScript decide to start at 0 for counting? Yeah, I think it just is a form of tradition.
Maybe because binary is 0 and 1s.
Maybe. Yeah. What language is that, Narciso? English? Okay. Don't quote me on this, but I think in maybe ancient Arabic or Indian math, the tradition is to start from 0. And I don't know if that's exactly true. I know that growing up here in the US, we just generally just count from 1. We don't count from 0. But then why do we count length from 1? See, I think that's just a mixed tradition there. But anyways, enough about that. Multiple conditions. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I heard that too, Keithan. Multiple conditions. If we want to pick a good day to go for a walk, we probably want to find a time when it's 1, not too cold, and 2, it's not raining. We can test conditions inside of each other, and the message inside will only be logged if conditions are true. Temperature is greater than 50 and it's not raining. So var temperature equals 60. Let's assume this is degrees in Fahrenheit, and is raining is false. So if temperature is greater than or equal to 50, it is, because it's 60. It is greater than 50. And we have an if statement within an if statement. And this one is going to check if it's false, right? If it's checking just by itself without this exclamation mark, it's checking if it's true. Now, not is raining is checking if it's false, right? So is it false? Yes. Then it's true. This is true. It's going to say true. Is it a false statement? Yes. So then we're going to console log. This is a good day to go for a walk. All right. I just wanted to click Narciso's link here and see where we're going. But some more conditional practice. Now, we can also write statements like this. Instead of having an if statement within another if statement, we are going to write it within the same parameters. So we have var temperature equals 60 and var is raining equals false. And we're going to check both at the same time now. If temperature is greater than 50 and it is if it's not raining, So if it's false, in console log, this is a good day to go for a walk. So this is two if statements, checking two things in the same thing, in the same parameter. Both have to be true. Double and sign is asking, are both true? Not is one or the other true, not is at least one true, but both have to be true in order to get past that bouncer here. This bouncer says, okay, you can enter if these both true, then we get into the club now. Console log, this is a good day to go for a walk. All right, so this is you have to pass this in order to get here. The logical and will only be true if both values on both sides are true. If we wanted to check if either of the values are true, so you just need one of these conditions to be true, we use the logical or. Now we're getting into logic gates. We have an AND gate, which both have to be true, both and, or the OR gate. Either or have to be true in order to pass. This is going to be really useful for you on the job when you're working in JavaScript and understanding other people's writing and in creating statements yourself. So, for example, when I had a job, I was working on a login page for creating an account. And before someone could click the submit button to get to the next page when they were creating an account, they had to meet all the conditions. They had to create a username, a password. Did the password match the confirmed password match the password? If all those conditions were true, then the submit button would go from gray to blue. It would be available to click. Okay, so I wouldn't be able to have done that project if I didn't understand these AND gates and OR gates. So these are something that you need to commit to memory. And OR, just two things here. Okay, do we understand how this works? Let's give a status 1 through 10 if we understand how and OR gates work. More 10s, please, or at least give me another number if you don't understand. Okay, that's enough 10s, yeah. All right. We have the modulo operator. Now, we've done this in programming basics, but let's just reiterate over it. Someone tell me what the modulo operator does. What is it checking when we use it?
If there's a remainder.
After you divide by 2.
Yeah, in this case, it's checking the remainder. Yeah, it's doing division, right? It's dividing the left number by the right number. How many times does 2 go into 5?
Twice.
And what would the remainder be after we divide into it twice?
0.
No, the remainder would be 1, right?
Oh, right. Yeah.
So is this statement going to be true? If 5 modulo 2 is it equal to 0?
No, it's not.
Right. It's not true. So is 500 even? Is this is going to be true, right?
Yep.
So when we console log is 5 even, we're going to get false. If we console log is 500 even, we're going to get true. Remember, these are going to return, these equal signs are going to return, double equal signs are going to return true or false statements when we console log them. Modulo works by determining the remainder. In the case of an even number, we can divide it through by 2 and have no remainder or decimal. If instead we are checking the number like 5, we can divide 2 and twice and we'll have 1 left over. This is what modulo does. It finds the remainder. Applying modulo to other values. If we wanted to see if a number is divisible by 3 evenly, we can use the same approach we used to find even or odd numbers, just swapping out the 2 for 3. So is 78 divisible by 3? We have this variable called is 78 divisible by 3. So we say 78 modulo 3. If the remainder is 0, then it is, right? Because there is an even number of divisions with no remainders. So we're checking, is it divisible by 3 with no remainders? In this case, yes, it is true. Spencer, you said false. Is this platform wrong? What? Wait, 78. What is? Oh, to the previous question. Okay. All right. So we know then we can check division by any number, right? We can also check if it's not even, but we can say by saying is 500. If I wrote this, for example, oops, got my pen. If we said var is 500 even equal 500 modulo 2 not equal to 0. What would that return?
What's that signature? What's the exclamation? The double equals
Is
me?
not equal to. Is not
Oh,
equal
okay.
to.
That would return false.
Right. It's going to return false because 500 modulo 2 is 0. So that's a false statement. So we can check any number now if it's odd, right? So if we said 501 instead, then it would return what?
True.
Yes. And that's because 501 modulo 2 would not be equal to 0. There would be some remainder in there. It'd be a remainder of 1. Okay, here's some additional reading. We have truthy and falsy statements. And strict equality. So there's a difference between a triple equal sign and a double equal sign. Okay, here's the difference between it. We have a number, const number. This is another word for a variable. Okay, number equals 0. And so if we say is num equal to num, triple equal sign equal to num, that's going to be true. So this is going to check for strict equality, whereas the double equal sign is not going to check for strict equality. So all these statements can be true. All these statements would be false. All these here, these values. Okay, do some reading on your own, but it's not necessary to web fundamentals for you guys to know this yet. Okay, this is something you'll solidify later on during the JavaScript course. All right. Lastly, we're going to reiterate over loops. You're going to say var I equals 10 while I is greater than 0, I minus minus. We're going to console log this. So we know how we know how to do for loops, so we're not going to beat you over the head with this. Okay, if we console log I, if we subtract by 2 each time, while I is greater than 3, we're going to print 12, 10, 8, 6, 4. We're going to do this again. I is equal to 0.25, while I is less than 3. Then we increase I by 0.5, so this will print 0.25, 0.75, 1.25, 1.75, 2.25, 2.75, because we're increasing by 0.5. Now we went over while loops today. So this is a difference between a for loop and a while loop. Can work very similarly, right? We have var I equals 0, while I is less than 3, increase I, and then we console log I. Here we have a while loop. We've declared I above the while loop. We said I equals 0. And then we say while I is less than 3, essentially what this is checking, then we're going to console log I, and then we're going to increase I in the while loop. Two different types of functions. One is a for loop, one's a while loop, but they do the same thing now. This is going to keep checking until it's false. Another way we can think of a while loop is a bit like an if that keeps running until the condition becomes false. So we have start 0, end 10. While start is less than or equal to 10, console log start plus start, end plus end, start plus plus, and end minus minus. We did this morning, so I know you guys get this. So we're going to get these console logs here. All right, avoiding infinite loops. An infinite loop will cause the program to run indefinitely or until the system runs out of a resource like memory. When writing loops, for loops, and especially while loops, we need to make sure there is some sort of condition that will lead to the loop ending. If we get the logic wrong, or if the goal stays out of reach, we can run into an infinite loop. Not every problem needs to be a loop to solve it. Learning when we need them is something that comes with time and practice. So let's take a small quiz here. Did I already
Josh, I do have a question, but it's not on the lecture topic. Do you want me to wait?
Yeah, you shoot the question. I'll let you know.
Okay. I just want to ask real quick before I forget it. For the GitHub, did you say after we put our assignments, are we deleting them off of there?
You don't have to. No, keep them on.
Keep them on there. Okay, I thought I heard you say that at one point in time. And then another thing is, do we call each committal the same thing each time? Do we put initial commit every time? Or are we supposed to be saying different things based off
Different
of the
things,
assignment?
different things on different commits.
On different.
Yeah.
And the only thing I would suggest for GitHub is if you have a username for your GitHub, a lot of the pre-course assignments made you put your full name as the assignment. So if you don't want your full name on your GitHub, I would delete or rename those. But other than that, it doesn't matter if they're on there.
Okay, sounds good.
Right. Okay, cool. Let's get back to the lesson. You know what? Let's go through this quiz quickly, and then we'll finish up this portion of the JavaScript. I know you guys know this because programming basics was required, but imagine if it wasn't, you'd be learning this for the first time really fast here. But this is not just going to be a review lesson. Predict what will console log each of the following examples. So now we have console log 8 modulo 3. I don't know why it's a little bit more visible. It's like in black here. So what will this log?
It should be the third one, right? 2.6 repeating.
8 modulo 3. Well, let's find out. Let's take a vote. Spencer says 2. Carlos says 3. Jung says 3. Prentice says 2. Oh, where's the consensus?
Oh yeah, I'm
I think
tripping.
the
It's 2.
difference,
I'm
I think the
tripping.
difference is some people are saying the answer number 3 and some people are saying the answer 2.
That's what I
Oh,
was
I see.
saying. I was saying like,
see.
yeah, the third answer. But I was also thinking that 2.6. I don't know. I was also tripping.
Okay. All right. Here we have this one. 8 modulo 3 equal to 2. What's this going to be? Is it going to be true, false, or undefined?
So it's asking if 8 modulo 3 is equal to 2.
Yeah. What is modulo asking again?
It's if there's going to be a remainder left over. That's what's throwing me off though.
Okay. So how many times does 3 go into 8?
2.
And then what's the remainder after that? So what's 2 times 3?
6.
Okay. What's 8 minus 6?
Oh, okay, cool. So it's true then. Interesting.
Yep. All right, let me write this one out because it's like hardly visible. For var I equals 8, I is less than.
So that last one was true because it was asking if there's going to be a remainder of 2 left over after you run that statement, and there was.
Yes.
Okay.
If there's a remainder and what that remainder is, and that's what it
Yes.
outputs.
Yes. Cool. Got it. Modulo gets the remainder.
Okay, so in this statement, we're going to console log I. We really need to fix this. This is hardly visible. So var I equals 8, while I is greater than or equal to 2. Subtract I by 3. What are we going to console log each time? Option 1, 2, 3, or 4.
3. Third option.
Okay. You guys are backing up Keith in here?
Yep.
Okay. Last one. Var x equals 0 for var I equals 1 while I is less than 5. Increase I by 1. And then inside this for loop, I plus equals 1, x plus equals I. And then we're going to console log x. So Spencer says option 3. Oh, sorry. That's twice I did that to you today. Okay, what's the answer for this one? Option 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? Okay. Spencer, now you say this is 10. So let's go through this. X equals 0, var I equals 1, while I is less than 5, increase I. So if we have to T-diagram this, I will. But let's see if we can get someone else to answer besides Spencer. Okay, Bill says option 2 as well. So we're adding to X the value of I each iteration. X initially starts at 0. So the first time we're adding 1 to X. And then we increase I by 1. So then I is 2. 2 is less than 5. So we add 1 to 2. That's going to be 3. I think I'm going to go with Bill and Spencer as well. Now the last one here. var x equals 0, string 0, and then we say for var I equals 1. You guys should be JavaScript experts by now, so no excuse for you guys not to get this in about a minute. This one's a bit different.
Yeah, I was gonna say this one was the answer for the last one because of that this one is a string now, and that was the difference. I don't know why I was thinking last time that they were saying 0 was the string.
So this one will be 4. Now it's adding to the string. So every time we add to the string, we're not doing addition with a number. We're just adding to the string. So it's going to be, let's see the results. Oh,
It was the third option. It stops at 4 because it's while I is less than 5.
I just didn't read you guys' comments well. I clicked 5, but I meant to click 4. This one is not 0 indexed. I tried to write it because it's hard to see. I is equal to 1.
I was just making a joke that
Yeah,
Ethan just referred to the
yeah,
right
I know.
answer as
Yeah.
answer 3.
All right, okay. Got me, guys. Okay, so now we have assignments due today. We have FizzBuzz. For each number that is a multiple of 3, print fizz. For each number that is a multiple of 5, print buzz. For numbers which are multiple of 3 and 5, print FizzBuzz. So from the numbers 1 to 100, do this for 1 through 100. Okay, that's your first practice assignment. We also have concept of debugging. You don't really need to go over this in detail. I think it's fair enough that we should skip this and get to the better part of the lecture. And we also have these loop challenges. So we're going to print odds 1 through 20, decrease by multiples of 3, print the sequence. We're going to write code that will add up all the values from 1 to 100 onto some variable sum and add that at end with the console log. And we should get at the end 50-50. So do this one as well. And then factorial. Write code that will multiply all the values from 1 to 12 onto some variable product. And at the end console log the result 1 times 2 times 3 times 10 times 11 times 12. Okay. Lastly, arrays. We're going to learn how and when to use arrays, learn to declare arrays, and learn how to loop through an array. We've done this already, so we have an array, or these variables. If we want to create a total, we can add them all up like this. We can create an array that has multiple values. Now, here, let's go over this. We already know this. Indexes start at 0. Arrays, numbers, strings, booleans are even, we can use these inside of arrays as well. We can know the length of the array by .length. If we want to add a new value to the end of the array, we use .push. And we can remove a value from the end of the array using the method pop. Add to the end, push. Remove from the end, pop. Okay. Imagine you're standing in line and you're the last person in the line and you want to remove the person in front of you who you see that as the last person besides yourself. So you just push them out of the way. Or you push yourself into the line. If you want to get them out of the line, then you pop them in the head, and then that's gonna get them out of line. All right, I'm trying to use these silly jokes so they stick. Okay. So I think all of this is redundant information. I really don't want to bore you guys with all this. We have for loops. We can console log. We have the concept of functions. We know how to do this. I know you guys know how to do this. So we create the function. We invoke the function here. So all this JavaScript we've been doing, it seemed a little bit abstract to creating a web page, right? HTML and CSS, but now we're going to be using all of this information to combine to our web design if we need it, right? Like, what if you have a website that when you click something, you're going to want to do some math? You're going to want to do some addition or subtraction. Imagine you have a website where you have the weather for the day, and it's in Fahrenheit. And when you click from the drop-down menu, you can switch it to Celsius. So now you want to do some math that switches from Fahrenheit to Celsius. You're going to do that using JavaScript. So now we're going to combine that with our document object model. Okay, this lesson has gone on pretty long, so I think the best thing that we can do is go over this concept at 2. And if we have time left, do the trivia party. I think that the trivia party is supposed to be like a relaxed, fun quiz about what we've done for the day. It's really, it's just going over information that we've already learned. But since this lesson has gone on long enough, I think we should save this portion of the lesson and have our attention span fully intact for this part. Okay? So what we're going to do then is break off now and go ahead and regroup at 2 Mountain Time for the document object model. Okay, and if there's any time left, we'll do the quiz. The quiz shouldn't take long anyway. We'll break up into groups for a group quiz, a trivia. So, did we have any questions about all the JavaScript concepts we've been learning up to this point? This should all just be a review.
On on the schedule, it says we're doing document object manipulation on Monday. Are we just doing that a bit early?
We're doing more of it.
Okay.
Yeah. We can't go over everything. But we were supposed to, I wanted to, let me double check here, make sure I'm not doing this wrong. Good question.
Because it says those first 2 sections, click event and what is it, is the reading for tonight.
No, everything up to, let's see here, week 2 day. We're going to do everything in, so it's going to be a short introduction at 2. We're going to do everything from what is this to up to this section that says week 2 day 1 on my end here. So just a few of these here, because I want this to be your attention spans to be fully refreshed for this. We'll do a review at 2 and then we'll go over the quiz. Okay, guys? All right. Well, thank you for participating today, as you guys usually do. Really appreciate it. So if we have no further questions, I'll stop the lesson here.
It's my last day with you guys today, so best of luck.